a new introduction and a new ending so that people can know what actually happened. And I'm just really doing that to help other people get over themselves. Because it's hard to get over being a perfectionist or thinking it should be longer, it should be better, it should be da 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 da. But perfect gets in the way of done.
That's one of my friend's favorite sayings is done is better than perfect. Because then you can move on. And what's something that's done that needs a little bit of a tweak, at least it's doing its intended purposes until you can get the tweak in.
I've lived in Silicon Valley. So a lot of people in Silicon Valley know that Gmail famously started with only 3 features. They launched it with just 3 features, and then they let the market tell them what features they wanted. And this is what I think we can really lean into as entrepreneurs, as creators, as video creators, as book authors. Let's get over ourselves and just get something out there with 3 features and see what the market wants. Because if it's a dud, good to know right away. If it's a hit, then good to put more energy there.
Why should every business owner own a copy of your book?
I think every business owner should do themselves a favor and buy a copy of Turn Words into Wealth, because it is the result of decades of me making wrong turns that have probably cost me hundreds of thousands of dollars. It will just accelerate their path of knowing how to come up with $1 million message. What is the structure behind $1 million message? What are some ways to monetize their message? 7 different paths with fun stories from David Goggins to Jeff Walker to Mel Robbins, all kinds of fun stories about different people, and me sharing my own numbers, what actually worked for me and the results that were generated. And the feedback's been amazing. It's an award-winning book. It's won a number of awards. So many people write to me and say, I was feeling a bit discouraged. I thought I didn't have anything to offer. And then I read your book and now I'm on fire. I'm writing my book and it's really good. The thing I really want to emphasize is everybody has access to words. You don't have to pay anything to have access to words. They are your birthright. But have you honed your use of them? If you have not, you are leaving so much money on the table. So much money, it would just make you shoot yourself. Steve Jobs was a very busy man, but he spent 3 weeks practicing and polishing his performance for those Apple launches. I mean, there's a reason he spent 3 weeks doing that. What to say, how to, express it, where to stand, how it would coordinate. Are you spending 3 weeks, preparing for your next 20-minute presentation? Do you understand the neuroscience of communication? Do you understand the sequence in which information needs to be relayed so that message sent is message relayed? Because the university has taught you exactly the wrong way. Not how it works.
Awesome. I think that's a great reason to buy your book. So how does effective communication change the trajectory of your business and relationships?
Well, if you think about it, effective communication is the cornerstone of any kind of relationship, whether it's a personal relationship with your wife or your husband or your boyfriend or girlfriend or your kids or brothers or sisters or the people that you care about. And it's the same with your clients. Your clients, your patients, your customers are another relationship. So I love this quote, and I'm forgetting who said it. Marketing is empathy at scale. I love that. Marketing is empathy at scale.
Dive into that.
A lot of us, me included, before my husband taught me another way, needing to care for my 4-year-old son made me really eager to learn another way. A lot of us think that marketing is dirty, that marketing is manipulation, that marketing is trying to get something over on somebody else. And that is just so wrong. If you let that toxic thought linger in your heart and mind, you will sabotage your success, your team's success, and your clients' and prospects' success. Marketing being empathy at scale, it comes back to what I said earlier. Entrepreneurs solve problems at a profit. So what problems can you solve at a profit? These need to be problems where you've got that 10,000 hours of expertise or mastery, problems that you like to solve, problems that, fill you with joy and juice to solve. Empathy means understanding another person's problems and being helpful when you can. I have a superpower around words. I love words. I'm empathetic. I love seeing and discovering the gold in each person's story. That's very interesting to me. And I just love interviewing people and delving into that. I'm passionate about it. I care about it. To somebody else, like to my scientist older brother, who is a genius. He's like, not very empathetic. And he's really, not that interested in hearing people's stories, but he's very interested in hydrogen and helium, which I am not interested in. So there you go, right? But marketing being empathy at scale, I mean, I think that's one of the reasons why Harmon Brothers is so successful, because you capture people's attention and not in a manipulative way, in a playful way, in a fun way, point something else out. So, comedy is so powerful for this. Even before you get all fancy dancy, like some of your video, everybody I think can understand empathy. And empathy at scale just means leveraging your time. So if you've learned something, if you know something, if your business has something to offer, and it obviously does, or it's going to be a hobby, or you'll soon be out of business, how can you find a way to share that one to many? That's what scale means, one to many. So a book, you write it once, and then people have it forever. Hundreds of years after you're dead, people can be reading your book. I mean, my life has been changed by Ralph Waldo Emerson, by Rumi, by Lincoln, by people whose books I've read I've never met, and I'm not going to because they're on the other side. Videos are great. Videos are so intimate and personal, and 2021, they're right there, and build, know, like, and trust at scale. So then you can use your marketing funnel to have this empathy at scale, to attract the people who are your tribe, to repel the people who don't get you, who are not your tribe, without you doing this on the phone or in person, one-on-one, which is exhausting, inefficient, and stupid.
Very, very fair. So where would one even start to evaluate how they communicate and how they should change it?
Well, I think we can always improve our communication, so you don't need to make yourself wrong to begin with. And how you can evaluate, it's kind of cool to do a 360 and honestly ask the people in your life, your previous boyfriend or girlfriend or wife or husband are good people to ask, your coworkers, both current and former, your boss, both current and former, your clients, current and former, how you are communicating, and to rate you on a scale of 1 to 10. Jack Canfield did this with his wife. He's like, can you rate our relationship between 1 to 10? She said 7. He was like shocked. And so then he delved into it and asked why and what was not a 10, and discovered some things, and then how to work on it. You'll also notice where you're not hitting it out of the park with communication. Whenever you come home angry, annoyed, upset, frustrated, you don't get the deal that you know that you were the better choice or the lower cost choice or just the obvious choice, but you weren't able to communicate that. You will know. And so then I'm still studying communication. It's a lifelong passion of mine. But even if it's not a lifelong passion of yours, if you want to be in the top 4% of leaders, of communicators, this needs to be something that you master. Or else you need to hire somebody to be, your CEO or your CMO who is going to be masterful at these skills. Because in 2021 and beyond, there ain't no success without it. You gotta have it.
Yeah,
and it's the highest leverage thing to do. It's so much cheaper to learn how to understand neuroscience, to learn the structure that's underneath communication that works, so that you have those building blocks and you understand the framework. You know what it takes to make something stand, to make a story stand, to make words stand, to make a video stand. I'm sure your great training showcases and reveals the structure, but most people don't know the structure. So sometimes they hit it and sometimes they don't, but they don't know what they did wrong or they don't know what they did right. You got to learn the underlying structure. So one of the things that's really cool about being a screenwriter is there's a very specific structure. Act 1, Act 2, Act 3. It's got to be under 120 pages. Turning points have to happen. This has to happen. That has to happen. And no, you cannot submit a 200-page script. You cannot violate these rules. And I chafed that when I was first writing screenplays. But then I realized, actually, no, that frees me. If I hit those marks, it will work. It will be useful. It might not still be my best work. I may need to revise and polish it, but it will be workable. Being a good communicator is like engineering a house. You need 4 walls. You need to understand how heavy is the house so that you can dig a deep enough foundation and pour enough concrete and put the rebar in so that the house won't fall down or tilt, right? It's a mathematical calculation and there's a structure to a house. I'm not an architect. Probably neither are you or an engineer, but we know, okay, it's a formula, it's a structure, and the house could be bigger or smaller or this or that. But if you know the formula, it will at least be useful. The house will stand. It's the same way way with your communication. Learn the underlying structure. And it's one of the things I love teaching my clients is media training. Learn the underlying structure. When you master those structures, you can put your own flesh on it, just like you could put different colored walls. You can have a limestone countertop in your kitchen, or you can have a granite countertop. You can paint the walls gray or blue or pink. You can have shingles on your roof or moss or whatever, but it will work. You can learn to communicate effectively.
There always seems to be somebody else out there in the world doing basically what you're doing, but better. I also love the phrase that good artists, they borrow or they create on their own, but great artists steal. So what have you stolen from other outside influences, and how have you put your own twist on it to make it your own?
Oh, I confess, I am a thief. So right now, I'm ghostwriting nonfiction with my clients or for clients, that I am for myself writing a fantasy novel. And I'm really inspired by Terry Pratchett. So I am listening to Terry Pratchett books. I think I've listened to some of his books like 5 times already, just to get the cadence, the playfulness of the words, to help myself break out of this more serious nonfiction business vibe that I've mastered in the last, decade. But now I want to expand to like allowing a luxury with words, being playful with words. So I am really inspired by Terry Pratchett and stealing all kinds of things from him. Brandon Sanderson is amazing too. Another great fantasy writer. I highly recommend his series Mistborn, the Stormlight Archive. That's really good. Terry Pratchett, I'd recommend you read Going Postal or Making Money. Those are 2 really good books. In terms of business, I am really inspired, in awe of Gary Vee. He's so great because one of the things I've stolen from him is he is shamelessly self-promoting, and he's totally okay with repeating himself a gazillion times, which I'm stealing the unapologetic, because I'm still half Canadian, so we tend to apologize all the time. And the other thing I really love about what Gary Vaynerchuk is up to, which I'm doing my best to also be, is he's just a stand for other people to get out there and do it. And he's like, P.S., if you have a 7, 8 or 9 figure business, I can help you do it. But mostly he's talking about, hey, you listener, start a podcast right now, yesterday. How come you didn't do, 90 blog posts today? Right. And then he sends you a thing to encourage you to do it. And a lot of people are going to not do it. I do have a 90-day challenge before we wrap this podcast up. Let me be sure to give it. So I'm stealing from Gary. I'm sure he would like to know that. He admits freely that he uses ghostwriters. He's like, well, why wouldn't you? You're stupid if you don't. Like, you've got a business to run. And I really love Richard Branson, but I don't know if I can claim stealing anything. I guess, well, he does freely admit that he has his books ghost written. I've written on my fridge to be more playful. I love how playful he is. So I would love to steal that, embrace that, lean into that. I'm still working on leaning into that.
I was going to say, no, let's dive into that real quick, because I feel like being playful for a lot of entrepreneurs is something that they feel like they have to leave behind. They feel like they always have to be like, all right, here's the next goal, here's the next thing. And even when they hit the achievement, they'll celebrate it for like 2 seconds, and then it's never enough. So how do you keep the play as a part of your work?
I am still a work in progress on that, but I have 2 things that really help me. One is the Stoic philosophy, memento mori, which my own life has revealed to me. I do not have any guarantees. This could be my very last day. And I'm playing with you, Kent. We're having fun, right? Yeah. We're getting to know each other. We're committed to making a difference for your listeners. And we're having fun. It's not so serious. So memento mori, paradoxically, remembering that you're going to die, is a way to wake up into the gift that today is. And when you really wake up into the gift that today is, all of these problems you think you have are really, for the most part, in tomorrow. They're not in today. Today, you have enough to eat. You have Wi-Fi. You have a smartphone or a computer, or you wouldn't be listening to this, right? Like, hypothetical problems are tomorrow. Yeah. And then the other way that I stay playful is I love what I do. I love what I do. After the pandemic, the coronavirus hit last year, I just looked at my business and my life, and I did my very best to eliminate anything that I did not love. And I love helping people discover what's unique and special about them. I love helping people turn that into a book. I love, encouraging them to shoot videos and sending some of them your way if they've got the budget to get it done. I love it. It's so fulfilling. It's so satisfying. And also I've designed my life as best I can so that each step of the way is fun and satisfying and fulfilling. This is another thing I love to tell people about books. It's not about that one moment when you publish your book or you have your book published. I mean, that's a great thing done the right way. It's fulfilling and satisfying every step of the way. For people to have somebody like me or me, but somebody interview them who's very curious about them, who wants to deeply understand them and all of the stumbling blocks in their life and how that, created a setback for a while, or maybe it created a breakthrough and how that all happened. Like somebody listening helps you reclaim and revise and reframe your past. You discover there's a bunch of gold in them there hills. It's not just all dirt and other stuff. And so then people have the chance to bring out the gold, to bring out the copper, to look at the lead and go, okay, put that one down. We don't need that anymore. We're going to release that, right? And then to do that, it's like people shed their past. They shed this weight that they didn't even know that they had. They shed kind of a shadow energy that was sticking to them. They become more alive in the moment. So every step of the way is fun. And then we turn it into a book, publish the book, market the book, help them get on podcasts and radio and TV and help them make a bigger difference in the world. And the thing I especially love about books, it's not a book or a video, by the way. It's a book and videos and a business back end. It's not either or, it's both and. These work very synergistically. And what I think is so cool is even after you're long gone, somebody can read your book. They can be moved by your story. It's like they are having an intimate conversation with you and you can change their life. It's kind of immortality.
I love the idea that remembering to have fun while you're going about your business is actually the thing that attracts people to you. That is like 100% of the reason why people want to come hire Harmon Brothers. Like, no, we want the funny. We want the humor. Like brands that never would have done humor whatsoever. Like per se Beachbody or like all these brands that are like, oh no, we're very stoic. We're very serious. We're like, we want to make sure that people get into the best shape of their life, but have fun with it all the while. Like I teach self-defense. While I'm teaching, my goal is to try and make my students laugh as much as possible, because even if in the future they forget whatever technique that they're learning that is probably going to save their lives, even if they forget all of that, they're going to remember how they felt in class and go, you know what, even if I'm in a bad mood, I can at least go get some endorphins in my body by getting a good workout, and I can laugh because Kent's going to do his thing. And it's going to be memorable, and I can be there with a bunch of other people that I feel like is my family. That moment is what you want. But if you go in just as a drill instructor, the only people you're going to attract are military people.
The bottom line is people buy a feeling. They don't buy a product or a service or even a solution. They buy a feeling. You hit it right on the head when you said that playful energy attracts people. Exactly right. So maybe you could add that. That's step number 3, to remembering to be playful, because it makes you magnetic.
Let's talk about who is an ideal client for you. Where do you want them to go to find out about you first, and what should their first steps be?
So my ideal client is a thought leader or an emerging thought leader, somebody who wants to make a difference in the world, who's up to something they're passionate about, they're interested in, and has learned something maybe through a life experience, maybe overcoming something devastating as I did, or even something straightforward like learning to be a good dentist and knowing some things they want to share there. So my ideal client is an entrepreneur who's running a 7, 8, or 9-figure business, or a professional who's already established and successful, like a lawyer, a dentist, a doctor, this kind of thing, who is eager to have a book and have it created in a fun way. The way I do it, it's through the interviews. So we get podcast-like episodes for each chapter, and they get the book. So you get both a podcast and a book, and then we help launch it. And yeah, who's not looking like to make a fast buck or to do a book in a weekend, even though you can do that. Read Marketing Fastrack. You can see how to do that by yourself. I mostly help people in a way that's really fun and meaningful for me. So the first step would be to read this book, Turn Words into Wealth, Blueprint for Your Business, Brand, and Book. It's so inexpensive. If you're at all interested in working with me, do yourself a favor and read that book, and then you'll know who I am and how you could do it yourself. And if you read that and you're like, no, I would like Aurora's help to do one of these things, then you can simply go to my website and sign up for a business breakthrough call, which is absolutely free. You can go to aurorawinter.com, 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 or you can go to thoughtleaderlaunch.com, and we've got free videos and free other resources to make your life great. Or if you just want to say hi and that you read my book and you want to share with me something that you found useful, you can ping me on LinkedIn. Again, it's just LinkedIn. I love to hear from people. I love to hear how they're doing. Love to hear that they started their book. Oh, yes. And let me give that 90-day challenge.
Yeah, I was just about to say, like you mentioned that earlier. I think people might be really excited to do something on their own, but with your zest and light.
Okay, so here's something everybody can do starting now. So the 90-day challenge is radical reading, radical writing, and radical review. I call them radical because I like to. It's playful. So what does this look like? Radical writing is the way to start each day. So write. It could be for as little as 5 minutes. And you could even be dictating it onto your iPhone. I do that a lot. I dictate my diary sometimes, or write it longhand. And you don't have to, talk about anything. This is just for you. This is not for publication. So vent about that argument you had yesterday and how annoyed you are that they didn't see your point of view, or how, you were talking to the perfect prospect, but they didn't buy and you felt that you could have done it better, or whatever. You're tired of coming home, watching TV, and you're ending up drinking too much. Whatever it is, 5 minutes. That's radical writing. It's unfiltered. That's the key thing. Radical reading is every day. Read, and read widely, read broadly, not just in, work zone, but read autobiographies. You read things that relate to your work as well, but then why not mix it up and read some fiction, some nonfiction, some poetry, read some, ancient people like Rumi or Buddha, and then see, what the modern thinkers are up to, like Elon Musk or other such people. Peter Diamandis is also a great thinker. Okay, so then you've done these two things, and you've only spent 10 minutes so far. You can do this. You can do this. And then radical review is once a week. I do it on Sunday. Scan your notes that you wrote and review and recap to yourself and jot a couple notes about what you read and what you learned. If you do this for 90 days, I promise you it will totally change your life. And there's a money back guarantee. You can ping me on LinkedIn if it doesn't work, or if it does work, it's for free. So the money back guarantee is free, but this has changed my life so much. After my husband died, my diary really is my lifeline. If I hadn't vented in my diary, I don't know, probably would have shot myself, but I'm exaggerating there. That later became the book From Heartbreak to Happiness, an intimate diary of healing. So I worked through my feelings. I worked through my upset. I worked through my trauma just by venting in my diary. Listening is the oldest form of healing, and writing in your journal is listening to yourself. We so often don't listen to ourselves. So listen to yourself by writing in your journal and just checking in. And then the review, after my husband died, reviewing what I had written changed my life, because reading it day to day, you can't see the forest for the trees, is definitely true. What I noticed when I reviewed my diary, I was like, oh my goodness, I thought I lived in an unsupportive universe, but actually that thing I prayed for 3 months ago just happened. It showed up like those things that I mentioned earlier. It showed up like, oh, somebody's calling. They want to borrow a boat, but they're in the film business. And I end up meeting John Badham and Goldie Hawn and Mel Gibson. It showed up like things like, you are coming to that party,
whether you want to or not.
Those were the answers to my prayers, although I didn't, notice it at that second. So when you review what you've written, you'll notice, or you could notice you're drinking too much. Stop it, right? You can get impatient with yourself. You can tolerate things on a day-by-day basis. But if you review and you keep this up up for 90 days, you'll go, no, that's not okay. I am going to get to the gym. I am going to go to Kent's class, or I'm going to stop drinking, or I'm going to start eating healthier, or I'm loving this writing process. I'm going to block off a half an hour or an hour a day to do this. You will listen to yourself and you will change. So radical reading, radical writing, and radical review. I honestly think this is the most powerful thing that we can each do, gift to ourselves. And, it can take as little as 5 or 10 minutes a day.
Well, sweet. Aurora, this has been absolutely fantastic talking to you today. For those of you at home, please like and share this podcast with a friend and subscribe to the channel.
Want to learn the tricks of our trade? We have them all laid out in our courses on Harmon Brothers University. This isn't surface level stuff here. This is our entire playbook, all our secrets laid out in full. The same training we give our own employees. You'll find courses on ad buying, writing video scripts to sell your product or service, creating the kind of large production ads we're known for, even making short ads using nothing but your cell phone. If you're looking to use video marketing to take your business to the next level, Harmon Brothers University has the course for you.
Our students have seen incredible growth in their businesses by implementing what they learned in our courses. Take these reviews as living proof.
We've now got multiple campaigns that are in the millions of views and in the multiple millions of dollars in sales. Within a week, we're close to 10 million views, over $1 million in sales, and most impressively, we've covered 100% of the production costs in the first 24 hours of releasing it.
We saw immediate results. Sales went up 10x the first day.
The first video we did is over 30 million views, the most customers that we've ever acquired in a single month. I think we hit about 26,000 new customers.
Go to harmonbrothersuniversity.com to start accelerating your business's growth with video.